Welcome to Obsolete Extraordinary. This is your host, Asaf. Today we are going to discuss about rivalries. In the annals of automotive history, few rivalries have captured the public imagination quite like Ford versus Ferrari, a conflict that began with a failed corporate acquisition and culminated in the most dominant Le Mans victory in racing history. When Henry Ford II's deal to purchase Ferrari fell apart in 1963 over disagreements about racing programs and corporate control, the young American automaker embarked on one of the most ambitious revenge projects in industrial history. The result was the Ford GT40, a purpose-built endurance racer that would humble Ferrari at its own game and deliver Ford's first overall Le Mans victory in 1966, followed by an unprecedented 4 consecutive wins. This is the story of how a bet on a car became the most dramatic chapter in American motorsport history. The story of the GT40 begins not with racing but with corporate ambition. In 1963, Henry Ford II, seeking to expand Ford's presence in the European market and gain access to Ferrari's racing technology, entered into negotiations to purchase the Italian sports car manufacturer. The deal seemed certain to succeed. Ford's executives and Ferrari's representatives had agreed on price and terms. But when the contracts were presented, Enzo Ferrari discovered a clause that would have required him to give up control of his racing program. The old man, who had built his company on the racetrack, refused. The deal collapsed, and Ferrari's rejection of Ford's offer was delivered with the dismissive arrogance that characterized Ferrari's interactions with anyone he considered beneath him. Henry Ford II, a man whose grandfather had built the Model T and whose company had helped win World War II, was not a man who took such insults lightly. The decision to build a Ferrari-beating race car was made within days of the failed acquisition. Henry Ford II tasked his executives with finding a way to defeat Ferrari on the racetrack, to take from Enzo what he could not buy. The initial approach was pragmatic. Ford would modify existing sports cars, primarily the Shelby Cobra and the Ford Mustang, to compete with Ferrari's 250 GTO. The Shelby Cobra Daytona Coupe achieved some success, winning the GT class at Le Mans in 1964, but it could not match Ferrari's ultimate pace. Ford's executives recognized that defeating Ferrari would require something more radical, a purpose-built prototype designed from the ground up to conquer Le Mans. The GT40 program began in earnest in 1964, with Ford establishing a dedicated racing facility at Ford Advanced Vehicles in Slough, England. The choice of Britain was deliberate. Britain possessed a deep pool of motorsport engineering talent and a racing culture that, while different from America's, understood the demands of endurance racing. The first prototype, designated GT40 project, debuted at the 1964 Goodwood 9 Hours race, where it showed promising pace before mechanical failure ended its race. The car was fast, remarkably fast for a first attempt, but it was also unreliable. Ford's engineers had created a vehicle with enormous potential and equally enormous problems. The GT40 program was plagued not by a lack of resources but by organizational chaos. Ford had established multiple parallel development efforts, with Shelby American in California building some cars, Ford Advanced Vehicles in England building others, and Holman Moody in Charlotte, North Carolina handling engine development. These organizations, each with their own cultures, priorities, and ways of working, struggled to coordinate their efforts. Parts designed by one team would not fit cars built by another. Engines developed in America would arrive in England without proper installation instructions. The GT40 was becoming a victim of its own parent company's vastness, a car being built by too many people who did not speak to each other. Into this organizational chaos stepped a remarkable collection of individuals whose talent and determination would ultimately overcome every obstacle. Carroll Shelby, the legendary American racing driver and constructor, brought American pragmatism and unyielding determination to the project. John Wyer, the British racing manager who had worked with Aston Martin, brought European sophistication and racing experience. And Ken Miles, the British racing driver who had emigrated to America, brought an intuitive understanding of race car dynamics that would prove invaluable. These three men, each with their own approach and personality, would lead the GT40 program through its darkest days to ultimate triumph. At the heart of the GT40's ultimate success was one of the most powerful engines ever fitted to a production-based race car. The Ford 7.0-liter V8, commonly known as the 427, represented American engineering at its most audacious. Designed by former GM engineer Joe Iocco and built by the team at Holman Moody, this big block V8 produced over 500 horsepower in race trim, more than any European racing engine of the era. The 427 featured a cross-plane crankshaft, hemispherical combustion chambers, and mechanical fuel injection, all packaged in an aluminum block that saved crucial weight. When installed in the GT40's mid-engine bay, this American powerhouse would give Ferrari everything it had and still have more to give. The development of the 427 engine was not without its difficulties. Early versions suffered from reliability problems, particularly with the complex fuel injection system and the stressed aluminum engine components. The British and American engineering teams worked tirelessly to resolve these issues, often through trial and error on the racetrack itself. By the 1966 season, the 427 had been refined into a reliable, devastatingly effective power plant that could run at maximum output for 24 hours without failure. The final version, fitted with a distinctive external oil cooler and chrome valve covers, became one of the most recognizable engines in racing history, a symbol of American muscle meeting European precision. The evolution of the GT40 from unreliable prototype to Le Mans winner occurred through several significant iterations. The Mark II, developed for the 1966 season, represented the culmination of everything Ford had learned. Built primarily by Shelby American in California, the Mark II featured a strengthened chassis, revised aerodynamics, and the 427 V8 mated to a robust transmission designed to withstand the stresses of Le Mans. The car's distinctive blue and orange Gulf Oil livery, chosen to satisfy the sponsor's requirements, created an iconic visual identity that remains recognized over 50 years later. The Mark IV, introduced for the 1967 season, represented the ultimate development of the GT40 concept. Designed by John Wyer's team and built with an all-aluminum chassis, the Mark IV was lighter and stronger than its predecessor. The aerodynamic refinements, including the distinctive chicken stick rear wing and improved front splitter, generated genuine downforce at high speeds. Perhaps most significantly, the Mark IV incorporated lessons learned from the tragic accident that claimed the life of driver Ronnie Bucknam's mechanic at the 1966 Sierra Leone and Leone's Mans test, features that would improve safety for all future endurance races. The Mark IV would continue Ford's Le Mans dominance, winning the Great Race in 1967 before the program was retired. June 1966. The 24 Hours of Le Mans, the world's oldest and most demanding endurance race. Ford had brought an unprecedented assault on Ferrari, with 8 GT40s entered across various classes. The tension was enormous. Ford had spent over $10 million on the GT40 program, and victory was the only acceptable outcome. As the race began, the GT40s immediately showed their pace, with Ken Miles in the number 2 car taking the lead. But Le Mans is not a sprint. It is a test of speed, reliability, and endurance that lasts an entire day and night. As the hours passed, Ferrari's superior reliability began to tell. GT40 after GT40 retired with mechanical failures while the Ferraris kept running. But as dawn broke on Sunday morning, the tide turned. Ferrari's lead cars began to fail, their engines succumbing to the punishment of sustained high-speed running. One by one, the prancing horses retired, leaving the remaining GT40s to fight among themselves for the lead. In the end, it would be a Ford 1-2-3 finish, with the number 2 car of Ken Miles and Bruce McLaren taking victory ahead of their teammates. Henry Ford II, who had come to France to witness the humiliation of his rival, instead experienced the greatest moment in Ford's motorsport history. The American underdog had defeated the European master, and the GT40 had written its name in racing legend. The 1966 victory was not without controversy. In the final laps, the 3 remaining GT40s were running in formation, and there were suggestions that Ford had ordered them to finish in a specific order. The debate continues to this day about whether Ken Miles was meant to win or whether Bruce McLaren's car was supposed to take the victory. What is certain is that Ken Miles, the heart and soul of the GT40 program, would have no chance to defend his title. In August 1967, during testing at Riverside, California, Miles lost control of his Ford J car and crashed. The accident claimed his life, ending the career of one of racing's most gifted drivers and casting a shadow over the GT40 program's subsequent victories. The GT40 program continued for 2 more seasons, with Mark IV victories at Le Mans in 1967 and 1968 cementing Ford's dominance. But with the achievement of 4 consecutive wins, the program's purpose had been fulfilled. Ford withdrew from factory involvement in endurance racing, though private teams continued to campaign GT40s for years afterward. The legacy of the GT40 extended far beyond its competition record. It had proven that American engineering could compete with and defeat the best that Europe had to offer, and it had created a template for high-performance vehicle development that would influence Ford's approach to performance cars for decades. The GT40's impact extended far beyond the racetrack into the broader cultural consciousness of the 1960s and beyond. The car's dramatic victory over Ferrari captured the imagination of the American public, symbolizing a technological and industrial triumph that resonated during an era of space races and Cold War competition. The GT40 became a symbol of American determination and capability, a rolling statement that American industry could achieve anything it set its mind to. Appearances in films, television programs, and print media established the GT40 as an icon of performance, a vehicle that represented the pinnacle of what could be achieved when resources and determination were combined. The GT40 story was brought to a new generation with the 2019 film Ford v Ferrari, which dramatized the rivalry between Ford and Ferrari and the quest for Le Mans glory. The film, starring Christian Bale as Ken Miles and Matt Damon as Carroll Shelby, introduced millions of viewers to the GT40's remarkable story and sparked renewed interest in these extraordinary machines. While the film took creative liberties with certain details, it captured the essential drama and significance of the GT40 program, inspiring a new generation of enthusiasts to learn about and appreciate these historic racing cars. The Ford GT40's evolution from retired race car to investment-grade collectible represents one of the most dramatic appreciation stories in the classic car market. When the last GT40s was sold in the late 1960s, they commanded prices befitting their racing heritage but hardly suggested the valuations that would come. Through the 1970s, 1980s, and much of the 1990s, GT40s could be acquired by collectors who recognized their historical significance. The restoration of neglected examples, performed by specialists who understood the unique challenges these cars presented, preserved examples that would eventually become irreplaceable treasures. By the early 2000s, the market had recognized the GT40's historical importance, and prices began a sustained period of appreciation that continues to this day. Today, the most desirable examples, numbers matching Mark II or Mark IV cars in exceptional original or correctly restored condition, regularly command prices exceeding $5 million, with exceptional examples approaching or exceeding $10 million at major auction houses. The original prototype GT40s, of which only a handful survive, represent the pinnacle of Ford racing heritage and command prices that reflect their historical significance. Investment-grade GT40s now represent serious financial assets, with preservation, documentation, and authenticity becoming increasingly important to market value. The GT40's technical achievements deserve detailed examination, as they represented the state-of-the-art in 1960s motorsport engineering. The mid-engine layout, with the driver positioned ahead of the V8 engine, provided near perfect weight distribution and exceptional handling balance. The sophisticated independent suspension, with double wishbones at each corner and coilover shock absorbers, maintained tire contact with the road surface through the punishing bumps of the Mulsanne Straight at speeds approaching 200 miles per hour. The four-wheel ventilated disc brakes, enormous by the standards of the day, could slow the GT40 from triple-digit speeds with remarkable effectiveness. The aerodynamic research that produced the GT40's distinctive shape, while not generating downforce in the modern sense, minimized drag while maintaining stability at the car's maximum velocity. The GT40's success was not merely a matter of raw power, though the 427 V8 certainly provided that in abundance. It was the integration of every system, engine, chassis, aerodynamics, and brakes, into a coherent whole that made the GT40 a winner. Ford's engineers, drawing on both American and European expertise, created a vehicle that was greater than the sum of its parts. The lessons learned through the GT40 program influenced Ford's approach to performance vehicle development for decades, from the Boss Mustang to the modern GT supercar that paid homage to its legendary predecessor. The GT40's legacy extends into the present day through Ford's continued commitment to high-performance vehicles. The 2005 Ford GT, introduced to commemorate the original's 1966 Sierra Leone's man's victory, demonstrated that the GT40 spirit lived on in Ford's engineering culture. The modern GT, with its mid-engine layout and extraordinary performance capabilities, owed a clear debt to its ancestor while incorporating technologies that would have been unimaginable in the 1960s. The new Ford GT returned to Le Mans in 2016 and achieved class victories that echoed the original GT40's accomplishments, proving that the spirit of competition that drove the original program remained alive within Ford. Beyond specific vehicle programs, the GT40 influenced Ford's corporate culture and approach to engineering excellence. The program demonstrated what could be achieved when resources were focused on a clear objective, and the lessons learned continue to inform Ford's approach to performance vehicles long after the last GT40 had finished racing. The GT40 became a touchstone within Ford, a reminder that the company could achieve the extraordinary when it committed itself to doing so. That legacy continues to inspire Ford engineers and designers as they develop the performance vehicles of today and tomorrow. When the final GT40 rolled off the production line, Ford had achieved what no American manufacturer had accomplished before or has quite matched since. 4 consecutive victories at the world's most demanding endurance race, achieved against the combined might of Ferrari, Porsche, and every other manufacturer that aspired to automotive glory. The GT40 proved that American engineering could compete with and defeat the established European elite. It demonstrated that determination and resources could overcome technical challenges that seemed insurmountable. And it created a legacy that continues to inspire automotive enthusiasts more than 50 years after those historic victories. The Ford GT40 story is ultimately a story about American ambition, European expertise, and the collision of 2 automotive cultures that produced something extraordinary. It's about an industrialist's wounded pride, a racing driver's brilliance, and a company's determination to prove itself against the best in the world. In an era when American manufacturers were building economy cars for a mass market, Ford created a machine that could defeat Ferrari at its own game. And for that achievement alone, the GT40 deserves its place among the greatest racing cars ever built. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the Ford GT40's remarkable history, be sure to subscribe to our channel for more content exploring the golden age of automotive design and motorsport. Click the notification bell to never miss an update, and let us know in the comments which classic racing car you'd like us to explore next.